Welcome to rSlash Relationship Advice, where OP's husband intentionally breaks her dog's leg. And I have a very special surprise at the end of this video, so make sure you listen to the very end. I, a 23-year-old female, am days away from giving birth, and my 37-year-old boyfriend just decided to tell me that he can't be at the birth because he's married. I'm just in shock right now. Like, I almost feel numb. But I really appreciate everyone here for your help. I was really happy and looking forward to the baby, and I just feel really sad right now, so I need to take a breather. Everything is ready for the baby, and I'm still excited to meet him, but Jesus! So first off, I know the age gap probably should have been a red flag, but I was stupid. We've been together for 2 years, but he lives in a different city. When I got pregnant, he said he was going to move to my city and we would move in together. He just needed to finalize some things with his ex-wife. He told me he was divorced when we met, and I never had any reason to question it. I knew that he had 2 kids with her as well. He told me the truth about that, just not that he wasn't divorced or even separated. So fast forward, I'm 39 weeks pregnant and he suddenly got uncommunicative, which is less than ideal when you're literally about to give birth. Bear in mind that he was supposed to have been fully moved in here about a month ago, but he blamed COVID. Today, I found out I'm going to be induced on Monday unless baby decides to come out over the weekend, so I contacted him and I was like, okay, what's going on? And that's when he told me that he isn't actually separated or divorced. He never told his wife about anything, and now he felt like he was backed into a corner. I don't feel sorry for him for that because that's his own fault. But obviously, literally 4 days before giving birth isn't the time you want to get this news, and I have no idea what to do now. Tell him to F off, obviously, but what else? I mean, I feel like I can take care of the baby, but I was preparing to have a partner to take care of it with me, you know? I don't even know what I'm asking for in terms of advice, but any advice for moving forward and handling this is appreciated. OP, Step 1, find a family lawyer ASAP. Step 2, do everything they tell you to. Step 3, dump that loser. Step 4, make sure you save every communication you two have ever had because it's going to make it a lot easier to sue him for child support later. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway Slapped. I'm a 21-year-old female, and my 64-year-old stepfather slapped me and I don't know how to process it. First, some backstory. I was adopted by my mother and late father. I love my mother and loved my dad. After he died 4 years ago, my mom remarried 2 years later with my current stepfather, let's call him John. I have one younger brother, 17, the biological kid of my mom and late dad, and 2 stepsisters, both 10 years older than me. John generally doesn't care for me or my brother. Sometimes, it feels like he's just leeching off my mother, if that makes sense. I don't really like him, but we never had a big argument and just kinda try to live alongside each other until I finally move out. Me, my brother, mom, and John live together. Now to the present. Due to the coronavirus, we all had to stay at home the past couple weeks. Mom doesn't work right now, but John can work from home. Since everyone stayed home all day, naturally there was more talk in the family and John opened up a little bit to us. He expressed some worldviews that I didn't expect of him, such as that the economy should continue running and it doesn't matter if old and sick people die because they're a burden to the country anyway. I told him that he is in fact old and sick. He has complications with his heart and is 64 years old. My brother was laughing at my remark, but John didn't take my comment well and told me to apologize. I was kinda taken aback because, for me, I just stated a fact. I said that there was nothing to apologize to. He repeated that I needed to apologize. I looked at my mom and asked her to defend me. To my surprise, she also said that I should apologize to him. I asked what I did wrong, and he started screaming at me to stop being disrespectful and that he's feeding us with the money that he earned and such. I started to cry because it felt like I was in a bad dream, and then he got up and just slapped me across the face. It came out of nowhere, and I was just sitting there, petrified. I guess I waited for my mom to say something, but she didn't, so I just got up and went to my room. I heard my brother screaming at my mom that he hated John. When I was in my room, my brother texted me if I needed comfort or anything, but I told him I'm okay. But I didn't feel okay and basically cried till I fell asleep. What made the feeling worse was that neither my mom nor John came to my room. Nothing. No asking how I was, just nothing. It's early morning now as I'm writing this, and I still feel horrible. I don't want to get out of my room or see anyone. I still feel like I'm in a bad dream. I guess I'm just asking what to do now, and if I was in the wrong or if my comment was offensive, I don't know. OP, no, you didn't do anything wrong here. Your stepfather definitely crossed a line. So first things first, that is assault. And assault is a police matter. You need to call the cops and file a report because what he did is not okay. And if he did it once, he's absolutely capable of doing it again. So it's important to get it documented and show your stepfather that you will not let this go unpunished. Secondly, you said you're 21 years old. I think it's time to start looking at leaving this house. If your father's becoming physically abusive, then the best thing you can do is remove yourself from that situation. I realize you're kind of stuck right now because of the coronavirus, but as soon as the quarantine lifts, you need to start looking at apartments. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway Dad Lad. So, I'm a big pet lover. We have several dogs, reptiles, frogs, and small animals. I work in the pet care industry and have recently lost my job due to the shutdown. That being the case, I've been home a lot more often, and I noticed the animals aren't attached to him like me. I thought nothing of it, as I care for them mainly and had most of them before we got together. Our pets have their own room, and yesterday I went to let our dogs out and our 5-pound Chihuahua mix was limping and putting no weight on his leg. My husband jokingly said a few minutes before I checked on him, "I got Rufus to stop scratching the door." I thought nothing of it until my poor dog was unable to move. I took him to the vet and they did x-rays and let me know Rufus's hip was broken. They said being so small, it could be because he jumped off the furniture and hurt himself as he's rather old as well. My husband later admitted that he lost his temper, picked Rufus up from the scruff, and beat him. He feels incredibly guilty and wants nothing to do with any of the pets now. I found out yesterday I'm pregnant, and I'm worried he may lose his temper with a newborn much worse than Rufus's constant scratching. What do I do? I love this man, and we've been married half a decade now. OP, there's a lot going on in this post. So the first major red flag is the obvious one. He picked up and beat a 5-pound dog. The second red flag is, in my opinion, even more troubling. After he broke the dog's leg, he made a joke about it. There's a world of difference between having a momentary lapse in judgment and just acting on emotion versus being proud that you beat a defenseless animal. And the third red flag is pretty subtle, but still very important. Based on the way you wrote your post, it sounds like your husband didn't confess this until after you went to the vet, which means your husband is actively trying to avoid responsibility. OP, I know that your life is kind of intermingled with this man, but this is 3 strikes in just one story. In my opinion, you should be looking for an exit plan. Down in the comments, Raptor Claus has this to share. Been there, done that. If they'll hurt the animals, they'll hurt you. Both me and my kids are now victims of domestic violence, and it started with a similar situation. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway DumbQ. Me and my fiance have been together for 6 years now. I love her dearly. My fiancée has always been huge into drawing in her free time. Frankly, she's really good at what she does. She's shown me a bunch of stuff in the past, and if I recall, she's always posted it to her DeviantArt. Most of it is video game characters. Some of her artwork is suggestive. Yesterday I was talking to a coworker about video games, and I remembered my fiancée did some art for one of those games we were talking about. So I decided to try and go find it. Being lazy, I decided to punch in her username into Google hoping to find her DeviantArt. Except I had a lot more stuff come up. Google showed a bunch of pictures. I guess you could call them the not safe for work version of art she's done. I ended up clicking on them and being sent to my fiance's H-Foundry profile. Now, I've got to be careful about what words I say on YouTube, so it's up to you to figure out what H-Foundry stands for. I just kind of shrugged and didn't care. However, in the Google search results, I also noticed a link to an archive of our own story with her username. This got me kind of curious, so I decided to take a peek expecting it to just be old fanfiction stuff she wrote ages ago. There was a lot of stuff, including recent stuff in her profile. Most of it was, I guess what you would call erotic fanfiction. At this point I found it funny, and when she got home on Friday night, I offhandedly mentioned what happened and how I found it humorous. She got very, very upset at me, and started acting like I caught her cheating or something. I told her several times that I'm not kink shaming, etc. She told me I violated her privacy and broke our trust. She said that stuff had nothing to do with me and I had no business snooping. I tried my best to calm her down, but she was visibly upset last night. All of today, she's been very upset, to the point where she said she needed to spend some time at her sister's. I've apologized and told her it was an accident, and I've told her several times that I'm not being judgmental about what she draws. However, she's still very upset. At this point, I'm at a loss for what to do. And then, thankfully, OP posted an update. She came back after I sent a large apology message, apologizing for laughing at her fanfiction, and it was not done out of malice and more out of awkwardness. We had a long talk about it. I explained that I wasn't that comfortable with her keeping such a large amount of her life secret and hidden from me. She also admitted that oftentimes when she was saying she was working late in our home office, what she actually meant was she was writing and drawing stuff and just wanted to be left alone. I told her I had no problem with their hobbies, which made her happy. She also told me she's so embarrassed because a bunch of it is self-inserts of her and some of it would make me unhappy reading it. I asked her to show me, and she eventually agreed. I read some of it, and it didn't bother me at all. In my opinion, to me, fantasizing about fictional characters isn't a huge deal as it's simply a fantasy and not real. I asked if some of the things she writes about are things that turns her on, and I told her I'm willing to try anything at least once. Yesterday night, she actually sat down next to me and started writing while I was next to her on the couch. And she didn't seem embarrassed at all anymore, so I guess this is good. Thank you for your help. Yeah, I had a feeling when I read the first part that your girlfriend was just super embarrassed that she'd been discovered, but I figured you guys would work it out eventually. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaways So Angry. And this is an update to one of my previous stories that I covered in an earlier r/slash relationships video. As a quick reminder, OP's entitled sister moved in with her and her boyfriend, and she immediately started pushing boundaries by flirting with OP's boyfriend. I finally decided to talk to my sister yesterday. She was actually sitting in my living room in her underwear and bra, and I completely lost my cool. I told her multiple times to wear some clothes, but she said it was too hot, which it wasn't. She then made a small comment about me being insecure about my boyfriend liking her or something like that, and that made me angry. I sat her down and we talked. I told her she was making me uncomfortable. She was making my boyfriend uncomfortable, and we wanted her to leave. She looked very shocked by it because I don't think I've ever talked to her like that. She immediately apologized though. She said she didn't know or some BS which I wasn't going to fall for this time. I gave her an ultimatum. She needed to pack her stuff and get out in 3 hours. She looked very emotional and she apologized a lot, said sorry a lot, and that she loves me. She said she would never intentionally try to hurt me. If I misunderstood her actions, it wasn't her fault. She kept saying she didn't know. She said she was just trying to be friendly with my boyfriend, which is not true at all. I asked her if sexually harassing someone was friendly to her, and she started crying. By this time, my boyfriend, who was in our bedroom, avoiding my sister and her skimpy clothing, came out to support me. She kind of directed her questions towards him. She asked him if she was making him uncomfortable. He said yes, and she cried and apologized. She then tried to gain his sympathy by saying that I was kicking her out when she had no place to go. She also lied that I was always mean to her. She completely ignored me and asked him if she could stay. She had nowhere else to go. Of course, he said no. What the F did she think? I will forever remember the look on her face. So yeah, she actually refused to leave, cried a lot, and said she was jobless and she didn't have money, a place to stay, friends, etc. I told her she had no friends because she was a jerk, the first time I said something like this to my sister. She even tried to guilt trip me to let her stay by repeating the words, "I'm your sister, family, I love you," etc. Me and my boyfriend helped her pack all her stuff and put it next to her car. I told her she can stay in her car, I didn't care. I wanted her to go. It wasn't really epic like some of you wanted. I was actually crying a little while I was shouting at her because I was shaking so much. At one point, my boyfriend had to tell me to calm down. It was just so overwhelming. I'm just glad she's gone. She did leave eventually. She was calling someone, and I'm pretty sure she went back to her own flat. Thank God she's not going to my parents because I don't think she knows how to quarantine. I know she won't quarantine, and this was the main reason I was hesitant to kick her out. 2 to 3 hours after she left, my mom called me and yelled at me for kicking her out. I shouldn't have been shocked when she accused my boyfriend of bothering my sister. My mom also asked me what kind of man I was dating, I should leave him, etc. I should have expected that, really. I tried to reason with her, but my mom was just angry at me. She asked me things like, "How can you do this to your own sister?" and similar BS she should be asking my sister. At that point, I was so effing angry. I was in tears and shaking. I just told her to F off in anger and hung up. It was just a weird day. I'm proud of myself for finally standing up to my sister, but I also don't really feel like getting up from my bed. My boyfriend is back to his cheerful self and I'm happy about that, but I just feel like such an idiot. I should have realized my mom would never take my side a long time ago. I just don't understand what I did to make my mom so angry at me. Why doesn't she love me? I've done everything she asked me to do, but she never takes my side of things. I just want her to effing love me and support me for once. It just never happens, and I feel like I'm an effing idiot for even trying. I think she regrets I was even born. Anyway, F that. I'm done trying to reason with them. My mom will never believe me. Pretty sure my sister lied to her, so mom keeps calling and trying to speak to my boyfriend. I'm currently thinking of cutting off all of my family. All they do is make me feel like garbage. I deserve better than that. My boyfriend deserves better than that. OP, I don't know why you said don't expect a badass ending, because that was kind of a badass ending. You stood up for both yourself and your boyfriend against your sister who was emotionally manipulating you and kicked her butt to the curb. So good on you, OP, and you need to give yourself a lot more credit. That was r/slash relationship advice. And recently I've been trying to grow my podcast, and I just came up with a very interesting idea. I'm trying to get people to follow my podcast. And as a way to say thank you to the people who support my podcast, I thought I'd give a shout out. So if you want me to shout you out, go to the Apple Store or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast and follow my podcast. Then go to the anchor.fm link down in the description and leave me a voice message. To start off, I think I'm going to do shoutouts maybe once or twice a week, but at the moment there's only like 5 voice messages in my inbox, so the odds of you getting picked are actually pretty high. Our first shoutout goes to Shelby. Thanks, Shelby, for helping my podcast grow. I really appreciate it.
Hi, rSlash. This is me, Shelby Slash. My last name. Hope you're doing good. You are the best. I love your videos every day. Watch them in the morning before I go to work. I work in customer service, food, and waitress and housekeeping. And so it's really awesome to kind of get a little vent going before I face the beast that is my work. Keep doing what you're doing. Love you. Love Hugo. You guys have a good day.